Hello and
welcome.
Get it out of the way now.
Hello. Hello and welcome to Reykjavík Roundup, where we tell you about the news in Iceland.
Did we change the name?
Yes, no. Hello and welcome to Iceland Roundup.
It's going well so far.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Hello and welcome to Iceland Roundup, where we tell you the news from Iceland. My name is Jón Trausti, and with me today, as before, are...
Sindri Eldon.
Og Aðalsteinn Kjartansson.
So today we are going to pick a couple of stories from Iceland and then end up on a story that affects Iceland but goes well beyond our geography.
So, did you just make a plan for how the episode is going to go?
Just now.
Yeah.
This is how well prepared we are.
Well, the plan is just a list of things that don't happen, but yeah.
So, which story do you guys want to start with? The sex club or the melting the melting...
I don't want to get into the sex club before I've had some foreplay first.
So we should start with melting roads?
Yeah, nothing gets me going like melted road surfacing.
I'm trying to remember what the correct word for the surface of the road is.
Asphalt.
Asphalt. Thank you for melting asphalt.
Yeah. That's the only thing that'll arouse me now.
So I guess one of those stories from this week is that the main road leading into the West Fjords is basically melting. So the asphalt is disintegrating, and we've all seen pictures of tires with layers of melted asphalt on them.
I do nothing but look at pictures of tires with melting asphalt on them. How are they melting? Isn't this Iceland?
Yes.
Are they made of ice? Because that would be the first problem. I mean, I'd start with not having the roads made of ice.
I haven't looked at the asphalt recipe recently, but I don't think ice is an ingredient.
I'm not an expert.
No, I actually don't know why they melt.
No, has it to do with the changing temperatures, like
it must do.
From
I feel like
from freezing to not freezing.
I feel like a lot of the infrastructure problems in Iceland in general are not due to the fact that it's very cold here, but due to the fact that the temperature is constantly fluctuating. Like winters are never like a solid cold all the way through. Like today is pretty warm.
That's true. It's well, it's kind of a joke that we don't really have seasons here. They kind of melt all into the next one, and you don't really see a massive change.
We only have a Wednesday.
We only have a Wednesday.
Yeah. See, when tourists hear the phrase "melting pot," I think they're picturing something different. But this is the truth of it.
Yeah.
So aside from the fact that we're not sure about the chemical ingredients of the asphalt.
Wow, we are so unprepared.
We're so unprepared for this, but the fact that I guess we're guessing on fluctuating temperatures because those are known to mess up our roads and do it all the time. Especially if you have sort of a great fluctuation, the roads will simply sort of, not melt like in this case. They will kind of disintegrate.
Yeah, they have these big holes in them, and it's like usual after. I mean, when we have heavy snows and then freezing cold, and the water in the snow freezes into the asphalt.
Yeah.
And then we have
it expands and cracks. Yeah.
And we have a sudden change from freezing to maybe 5, 6, 7 degrees.
Yeah.
Celsius.
Yeah. Yes.
Important to note. Yeah. Then it I don't know, disappears or cracks or I don't know, it falls into the ground.
I've heard a lot of things about road surfacing in Iceland, and that we have to basically we have to import all of our road surfacing stuff, and it's substandard quality, because it's cheap. We know it's not going to last, and it needs constant maintenance.
Yeah,
is what I've heard, and I mean I think it speaks volumes about sort of the infrastructure problems in Iceland, because it's not like there's not enough money here to take care of this, but it's just
But one of the reasons why these roads outside of Reykjavík last so briefly, or they need to be fixed all the time.
The roads in Reykjavík last fucking 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's because of heavy transportation on them, isn't it?
Yeah, we're driving like truckloads of fish
Yes,
from different ports around the country.
And this, if I remember correctly, is kind of a recent thing, because we used to have
bicycles and horses.
Yeah, and
Well-
this thing called strandsiglingar.
Yeah, so coast
Sailing.
coast transportation. So back in the last century and up until early this century, most of the heavy stuff was moved around the country via ships from port to port. So trucks weren't driving a lot around the country. And in the past 20 years, this has absolutely changed, and therefore a road system that wasn't necessarily built for something that heavy is just enduring a lot of beating. And it's manifesting itself in all sorts of problems and increased costs. And on top of that, we have what our former Minister of the Interior called a improper deficit.
Yeah.
So we haven't been.
I think that's an
spending-
extremely mild way of putting it. But
yes, that's the word he used, and we're talking about having not invested as we should have, some hundreds of millions of kroner over the past 10
story
or 15
of
years.
my life.
And this leads to some of the roads around the country being in pretty bad shape and or having issues like melting.
Yeah.
I mean, Iceland is basically, the population centers, most of them are by the coast.
Mm-hmm.
And it really, it's like an island archipelago almost. And like, unless they're connected by roads that have to be vigorously maintained at great expense, like they are only really connected by water, by the ocean. Like the middle of the country is just, uninhabitable highlands and crap.
Sand, not crap, sand.
Well,
yeah.
but there is crap too. I mean, animals poop. I know this. I've seen it happen. And, I don't think anyone's shoveling it and transporting it anywhere in those big trucks. That's all fish, right?
Yeah.
There's no
mostly,
crap in
yeah.
those trucks.
Well, I don't
Fish
know.
crap? I don't know.
Fish
Yeah.
crap.
I mean, the fish aren't still crapping while they're in the trucks, right?
Post-mortem.
I hope they
something?
freeze
I don't
the
know.
trucks. I haven't been brave enough to eat an Icelandic fish in a while, but I have a feeling it
You
would
don't
be.
eat Icelandic fish? Do you eat like imported fish?
I'm
Do they
just-
have imported
I'm
fish?
not a big fan of fish. I was vegan for a while, and then even when I gave up being vegan, I still don't eat fish, and I think people could stand to eat a lot less fish. The oceans are being heavily overfished, and give it a break. Also, it's like feeding some of the worst people in this country, like the people who own the fisheries. Like, I think they could stand to lose a couple billion krona or two.
Yeah, but they're mostly like invested in like other unrelated things from fisheries, so it wouldn't really affect them if we would stop eating fish. And they mainly export fish. I mean, that's why they're driving around the roads with the fish. It's to get it to like major ports like Sundahöfn in Reykjavík and the airport in Keflavík. They fly the fish away. So it's like they don't care if you eat fish or not.
So
They're
once
not
again,
gonna-
the solution to this problem lies in building up the countryside. And, if they had a larger harbor, maybe our roads wouldn't be in such a bad way.
Yeah, but I mean, a lot has to change if we're gonna like spread out in a way that it would be make an economical sense to like build a giant port somewhere else than Reykjavík. I mean, almost 2/3 of like everyone in Iceland lives in this spot in the southwest of Iceland. Around
They're
the
sitting in
capital.
this room with us right now,
Yeah, basically.
just off camera.
If you listen, you can probably hear some of these people.
I think
It smells so bad in here.
what I just heard is I think the trash truck taking something away.
Yeah,
The fish.
Maybe
fish
They
from the
dig-
restaurant downstairs.
Yeah,
Fish
they
bones.
dig uneaten fish out of the garbage and ship them to other countries.
This show is not sponsored by Big Fish.
Big fish. Are you talking about tuna?
No,
Yeah. Okay.
no.
No, this was a bad joke.
There is.
I like tuna.
I like bad jokes.
Do you like eating tuna or just Do you like tuna as a friend?
Both.
Both. Okay.
Yeah.
So you don't eat fish, but you eat tuna.
Well, yeah, it's imported.
Do you eat
It's also tasty. What?
whales?
No.
Imported
No.
whales from Norway?
No.
Japan?
No.
But on that comment of you not eating fish, Sindri, I feel like there are just three things that kind of make you an Icelander. It is eating fish, it is eating ramen, and then it's using much more energy than you need in the form of electricity and hot water.
Well, I'm definitely guilty of the last one to such an extent that I think it overshadows the fact that I do not do the first two.
Okay, so you...
I am more Icelandic than... I will challenge either of you to a water fight over who is more Icelandic.
Okay, I'll challenge you to Icelandic glíma.
Yeah, I'm gonna lose.
I'm
My strategy is to lose.
I'm not gonna challenge either of you for Icelandic Lima. I think I would win, because I'm from the countryside.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're from, like, really close to Reykjavík.
He's also tall. If we worked, I think we could get him if we worked together.
Yeah.
If we rush him.
But he's tall and thin.
Break his glasses.
I was gonna say
If you break his glasses first, then he'll come down.
Yeah.
Like a tall tower.
Yeah, I'll definitely lose that fight. I never punch back.
You're not supposed to punch in glíma.
Well, that depends on where...
Even I know that.
how
See,
you
we
read
can
that.
take him. He doesn't know what he's doing.
Well, the thing is, like, you will...
You haven't wrestled a naked man in your life, have you? I can tell just by looking at you.
The only people I've wrestled people who have their pants down. Is that something?
Yeah, they're still wearing a shirt?
Yeah. I mean, whatever.
Are we
You
talking
wrestled
about the
Donald
time
Duck?
you lived in the Westfjords and worked as a police officer?
No.
Did you have to wrestle naked people as a police officer? Because I know the
Like
police
for-
probably have to do that a lot.
Public urination.
No, so the...
It's easy to
Here
wrestle
comes
someone
Jón.
with their pants around their ankles.
I did have to wrestle somebody to the ground as a police officer, but that person was fully dressed. Unfortunately.
Oh, too bad.
That's a shame. Yeah.
The other time
Figure
I
you could get one thing out of being a police officer. It's
wrestling down naked people.
yeah. I mean, finish that sentence however you want.
Yeah, but I did wrestle somebody at the bathrooms at Kaffibaren who was not wearing her pants at some point.
Wrestling. That's what they call it now.
It's I got sucker punched by the person peeing next to me. I have no idea why. Anyway, Reykjavík nightlife is it's a
It's a very
marvelous thing.
charged environment. The trough urinal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so on that topic on infrastructure in the West and in Iceland in general, I mean, the West Fjords are responsible for one quite famous, innovative tech company, I guess you call it, biotech company, Kerecis.
Oh, tech. I thought you said tack.
Tech.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kerecis.
Kerecis.
Yeah.
And the former CEO of Kerecis, I guess Kerecis got sold, didn't it?
Yeah, to this big Danish company.
Yeah.
Coloplast, I think it's called. It's like they make bandages or something for if you get burnt.
Yeah.
And they make stuff out of fish
Yes.
that you put on like the burnt area and it heals. It's like amazing
Brilliant.
innovation.
Yeah. But he was on Monday. He was on the roof, the state broadcasting TV show, talking about the infrastructure problem in the Westfjords. I don't know if we should get into this, but he...
Is this company responsible for the ad at the airport that's like, one day I'll tell my grandson about how fish saved my skin?
Yeah, he's talking
fucking
about...
hate that ad. I cringe so hard every time I see it. I'm like, oh god. It's like the worst thing to see when you return to Iceland as well. It's just like we're so bad at everything. Just like our advertising, it's so cringy. It's so awful. It's like they never stop to ask, one of the millions of foreigners coming here, like, do you think this ad is stupid?
But this ad is definitely not for like foreign travelers. It's for Icelandic people to feel proud of something.
Yeah.
I mean, no one goes to the store and buys the products that Kerecis develops.
No.
I mean, if you're a tourist traveling to Iceland, you're probably not gonna even like think about what this is.
Yeah.
It's just.
I'm not surprised. This is the same guy who pulled the grandma argument out of his ass.
Oh yeah,
this is tilfinningaklám. This is emotional pornography for sure.
Yeah. Anyway, so he was talking about the infrastructure problem, and he was basically pimping a solution where independent financiers, as I guess himself and the government, would cooperate to rebuild these roads. And he said it would cost in the neighborhood of 90 billion kroner, which is a lot of money. And he also pointed out that only 2% of the population live in the Westfjords, so it's 45 billion per person in the Westfjords.
Per person.
Per percentage, sorry.
Percentage.
Not per person.
The 100 people that live in Iceland. Statisticians love us. Easy math.
And I guess, I mean, for 45 billion kroner per percentage, that's an astonishing amount of money that he wants to spend on infrastructure there. And it begs the question, what could we do with that kind of money in Reykjavík?
It's like...
That'll buy you like a meal here.
Yeah, 2 meals. Maybe for a family of 4 or something.
Yeah, if they eat at IKEA.
Yeah, well, anyway.
Yeah, but we could make a subway system. Not like the subway sandwich system. A meal system.
The only functioning subway in Iceland.
Yeah, if we were to spend that kind of money, I can't even do the numbers, but it's so much money that we could build a subway system and another subway system onto that subway system.
Mm-hmm.
Or like one subway system for the locals and one subway system for the tourists.
The subway and the domway.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
But at the same time, it kind of also reminds us of the fact that building infrastructure, like the ring road throughout Iceland, which is about 1,400 kilometers, it's like if you look at the numbers and if you try to run this as like, does this investment make money? Of course it doesn't. It's insanely expensive to maintain infrastructure for so few people. But we do it anyway.
It's not supposed to make money.
It's not supposed to make money, and we do it anyway because otherwise we couldn't even get to those parts of the country.
And if you look at how we manage Vegagerðin, which is the infrastructure company in charge of like paving the roads, literally. I mean, we used to have the Minister of Interior. He was like a vet, like a
veterinarian. Yeah.
Veterinarian.
Yeah, we don't actually have any veterans.
No.
Maybe some Cod War veterans are still.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. you help me with my English, please. And he appointed the head of the Vegagerðin, the road making
building.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with your English. It's a stupid pun in English.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks.
That works for both, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And since we're short on the...
It was low-hanging fruit, and I feel like my job on this show is to eat those.
Yeah, definitely.
So keep talking, I'm sorry.
And he decided to put in charge of this government thingy another vet. So the head of Vegagerðin, the CEO of Vegagerðin, is actually the Minister of Interior, veterinarian.
Vegagerðin, by the way, is like the road
construction authority or something.
Yeah, the Icelandic, construction authority that in charge of building all our roads. Sorry, just an aside to the.
Yeah,
it was an important site.
I guess
veterinarians build our roads. Basically, is what you're saying.
Yeah,
basically. Is the argument that if you're very familiar with the circulatory system of mammals, you're going to be very good at building roads circling the country? I don't know. Sorry.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what the reasoning was, but...
I took my guinea pig to the vet the other day. All they wanted to talk about was the roads in the countryside. I feel like there's been a mix-up somewhere.
Yeah.
It's like, his hair is falling out and he seems unhappy. It's just like, have you seen the new road to Þingvellir? It's a disgrace.
Talking about guinea pigs as such,
yeah,
somebody is trying to guinea pig a concept in Iceland, which is a sex club.
Guinea pig is a verb now? Oh, like a test
It's
subject.
a test.
Yeah.
It's never been done before,
Cool.
as far as we know.
I'm gonna guinea pig you.
So this person under the pseudonym Jón Jónsson or John Smith or what have you
Yeah, John Doe.
has come on.
And a variety of objects.
I'm sorry, that was not.
Now, come on, just let it flow, man. Let's go.
He was on the news.
Yeah, he spoke to Vísir, online news site in Iceland, under this
Under pseudonym,
yeah.
where he said he was starting a sex club and he was not willing to tell the reporter where and when or who he was.
He was basically just bragging about all the sex he was having. Just like, can you prove this? No.
And I wonder, like, does this story sort of, if there's like some sort of limitations of fact checking, will this do? Is this story? Can we actually go with this story as being
No, I mean
anything more than a rumor?
Jesus, the amount of news stories that would actually get published in Iceland if it would, pass the sourcing policies of like foreign newspapers, you could fit it in the palm of your hand, which is probably where Jón Jónsson has most of his sex.
I mean, of course, we don't know what how this journalist
Obtained his information.
his
That's true,
information
yeah.
on how,
He is one of the 30 people.
Yeah, I mean, Jón Jónsson talked about in this interview that he had organized a soft launch. I can't do
A soft what?
a soft launch.
I see.
Of this club.
Yeah, of this.
A dry run.
Oh man,
But
we're
so-
12, aren't we? We're all 12.
I'm trying to be the mature one.
I think I just find the whole. I mean, I realize that sex clubs are a concept that exists in other countries, but they exist in other countries with a larger population and a sort of more extensive gene pool. I feel like if this is supposed to be a thing you can show up to, you might end up fucking your cousin.
Yes. I don't understand. I mean, this raises an interesting point. There's so many tourists in Iceland now. Like, do you really need a sex club anymore? I mean, what are they? They're essentially swingers, or is it like dating?
No, I think it's like a swingers
It's a swing,
club.
yeah, it's a swingers club.
Yeah.
So, and you have to. He was like really clear about that. You had to give your full name and some
Personal
Your
information.
Kennitala.
yeah. He's building a database.
Bank account.
Of
Yeah.
swingers. In
Is
Iceland.
he then
Yeah.
running all these people through the
Icelandingabók.
The Icelandingabók? The
Yeah, I mean,
family tree of all Iceland?
I mean, I imagine that would be like the only clear advantage of going to a sex club if you're in the swingers scene in Iceland, with probably counts about 30 people,
Yeah.
all of whom showed up for the soft launch of the club. I mean, that's the real benefit of doing this organized this way.
Mhm.
So you could have this mass data examination through Icelandingabók.
Yeah.
Jón Jónsson is actually the head of Decode. What's his name again?
Kári Stefánsson.
Kári Stefánsson.
I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
Nobody
it's a
knows
cunning
who-
plan.
Yeah.
God, I
I
wonder
feel like
who he
it's just.
swings with.
I worry that this is just one guy's elaborate plan of getting other people to pay his rent.
You think the club is just at his house?
Possibly.
From what I've heard about
An apartment.
polycules, is that swinging, it only complicates your housing problems.
Yeah, but I mean, given what rent is in this country at this point, I mean, people are desperate.
Yeah.
I mean, this is maybe an ingenious plan of making down payments on their.
I certainly think Jón Jónsson is, working harder to make Iceland a better place than this billionaire guy. What's his name?
Sigurðarson Fertram? No.
Fertram.
Fertram, yeah.
Yeah, than Fertram. Bertram.
Okay.
I'm too immature to continue talking about this.
Let's just stop. Let's see if this actually happens and whether or not we'll find out whether or not it had happened.
Yeah, if Jón will ever reveal where the club is
and who he is.
and who he is. Now, he said in this interview that he didn't want to
Compromise people or no?
Yeah, he's like a family man.
Yeah.
He didn't want this to affect his kids.
Mm-hmm.
That he was like running a sex club. That's why he did the interview under a fake name.
Ah, okay. And also maybe that's why it's not his home but his garage that he's using.
Yeah. I mean, we live in a neighborhood where everyone has a garage.
Yeah.
So I
yeah,
mean,
it could be our neighbor.
It could be on Langholtsur.
It could be one of us. I mean, as I said, there's a lot of people in this room. I'm sure Jón Jónsson is. It's statistically likely that he's one of them.
Well,
the four of us are 1%.
I'm gonna go with not me because my name is Jón, so this would have been like a terrible.
But that's what makes it so brilliant. You see.
Yeah, true.
We have this famous musician in Iceland
called Jón Jónsson. Yeah.
Jón Jónsson. I'm not saying it's him.
He is a family man, though.
He is a family man.
Yeah,
he owns a garage.
Who allegedly has only ever had sex with one woman, his wife of many years.
Has that ever
Is that on the record anywhere?
Public information?
It's it's in the rumor mill. It's
You heard it through the grapevine.
No, I mean the grapevine doesn't know shit. I'm the one telling the grapevine. You heard it through me. No, but I mean, from what I'm told, he's a one-woman man. So, if he wanted to get the word out, this is how he'd do it. My issue with this sex club is still kind of a practical thing, though, because, all right, secrecy, I get it. But, if you want to join, how do you join? Is there, a signal?
I mean, it's such a
What
small...
shape is the signal? Thank you.
Ding.
That's like a
can we take this from sex clubs to another club?
NATO.
NATO. Our favorite club.
I mean, it depends how the sex club thing goes.
Yeah, true. We'll find out later.
Yeah.
It also kind of depends on how NATO goes, which we're also going to be finding out later.
Yeah, I mean, Iceland really has put all its eggs in the NATO basket.
Yeah.
And that basket is coming apart.
It's been let's put it this way, it's been a very interesting week for NATO cooperation. At the same time, maybe not entirely surprising either. Mm-hmm. It's been a long time coming. We've people who kind of pay attention to these things have been worrying about this since 2016 when Donald Trump first got elected president.
And someone explained to him what NATO was.
And how much money it costs, etc.
Right.
And how it was actually aligned against Russia, which he found confusing, I guess. I don't know.
Doesn't take much.
But I guess we should maybe briefly, people probably know, but we should maybe briefly just talk about what happened since, I guess, Friday. So on Friday, the US Vice President held a speech in Munich, a place where nothing good ever happens. Which was one of those, US speeches that are definitely for the domestic market and not entirely for anybody else, where he was basically telling Europeans that, back in the day, the lines were really clear. It was the Cold War. We were the good guys, Western Europe, NATO, and the US, and the Soviets were the bad guys. And in, the Soviet Union, you didn't have the freedom of expression, and etc. And then from that, he segued into saying, but this is not as clear anymore. You have kind of abandoned democracy in a way. You're suppressing elections, and you're suppressing free speech. Whether or not you are the good guys is kind of ambiguous at this point, which was an astonishing thing to say. But this is something that he seems to at least believe himself or is willing to say publicly. Obviously, I would say this and previous comments on, to an extent, fair comments on the fact that other NATO countries aren't really spending as they probably should on defense versus the US.
Mm-hmm.
And the then negotiations happening in Saudi Arabia between the Russians and the United States on the Ukrainian war without anybody from Europe, including Ukraine, being involved. And more things that we shouldn't get into, has kind of left European leaders, for lack of a better word, reeling. But, you know, it's like I started this segment by saying, like, you know, it shouldn't be surprising, but people are sort of visually panicking, and they were, Macron has asked for a couple of meetings between the EU or European European governments to discuss like what to do about the whole situation. Keir Starmer has discussed putting troops on the ground as peacekeepers in Ukraine. But as I guess Zelensky pointed out recently, like the biggest military, and this comes back to the actual military power of the European states, the biggest military in Europe is the Ukrainian one with about 980,000 people, and the second biggest is the French with like 200,000, and then I don't know who comes next, the Brits or something with 3 people, I don't know what it is, it's not very many.
Dad's army.
75,000, something like that.
Yeah.
And essentially the situation is that after like militarily for Europe, after the end of the Cold War, whatever they had, they've kind of let slip.
Mm-hmm.
And basically Europe is more or less demilitarized in a sense, and more or less doesn't have a functioning military, like in the traditional sense. No, maybe except for the Finns, who didn't really ever experience they were never under the sort of umbrella of the United States. They were never really protected by the United States, so they always had to fend for themselves. But this is sort of like an end of an era that started in 1945, where, you know, the Allies won the war. The United States kind of dictated the new world order. They set up the United Nations. NATO was set up. The World Bank and Bretton Woods and all of these things were put in place, and there was like a system where it was thought a good idea to keep Europe kind of demilitarized for good historical reasons.
One or two come to mind.
And the United States would kind of be the guarantors of peace, and in this environment of almost 80 years, Europe is it's kind of just grown up for generations now without really having to worry about this. And I think to an extent we've become so used to it and so docile towards how realpolitik can work in the world that we just haven't even, or at least from what it seems with even the European leaders don't even seem to have the cojones to actually face that fact and do something about it. So the docility is kind of...
in their defense, like, even with all the historical precedent we have, I don't think you could reasonably expect anyone to expect someone like Donald Trump to come to power in the 21st century.
No.
People would be that stupid.
No, anyway, so I guess this is maybe almost too much
If it hadn't
background.
actually happened, a person predicting that would be dismissed as, like, the bleakest cynic imaginable.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we've had, like, things come up before this week that, like, could have been an indicator that we should start to think more
About our own security.
Yeah, about our own security. I mean, this is Trump's second term in office, and he did things and talked about things in his first term that should have like raised alarm bells.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen, we have believed for most of this time, you're talking about these 80 years, that with more trade between different partners across these alliances, that would somehow keep the peace. I mean,
that's literally the premise for the Marshall Aid and a lot of other programs that the US started in the 40s.
Yeah, and we just see like Europe bought like billions worth of gas each year from Russia. That didn't really change anything in Putin's mind. The same about China. I mean, China is just doing its thing, doesn't care who they sell their products to, where they export their things to. So, I mean, all this system, it's been proven to be like
A castle in the clouds or whatever. It's not. Yeah, it doesn't really work.
And Iceland, sitting like in the middle of the North Atlantic between Europe and the US. I mean, we used to have for like decades this military base from the US in Iceland. They, I don't know, 2006 they closed down, and we don't really have any plan other than like asking the US to help us if something happens. Even now we are not even discussing a plan. I mean, are we gonna just expect the US to protect us for nothing? Are we gonna try to get closer to Europe?
Will that help us at all, even at this point?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's for us. It's really weird. I mean, I guess the first indicator of this potentially becoming an issue was Donald Trump's comments about Greenland at the beginning of the year.
Yeah,
which is a part of Denmark, and Denmark is a NATO ally, and he's making territorial claims against a NATO ally, and that in itself was an indicator of an absolute norm-shattering behavior. And what is happening now is kind of the same thing to an extent. But one of the things that was discussed there is that Greenland, just like Iceland, its security is ultimately guaranteed by the United States, and for the past 80 years, that has just been a matter of course. They have, guaranteed our security and not interfered directly in our internal affairs. It's just kind of a blank check thing. But nothing indicates that this is now a blank check thing anymore. If we are in trouble, and the United States, as our, contracted guarantors of security, we have an agreement with them from the 50s. What will it actually mean if push comes to shove? Like,
what do you think Donald Trump wants from us? Is what you're saying?
Basically, like,
what could we provide him with that he wants?
More territory. Like, is our independence anything? It's basically at this point.
He can have Snæfellsnes. I've heard the roads there are bad.
I mean, the King of Norway once wanted Grimsey. We can maybe give him Grimsey.
It's a very humble request for a king to just want Grimsey.
I think it was argued that it was baby steps towards total domination, and Iceland said no.
Grimsey, yeah, okay.
But
I mean, we don't have like these rare metals as Greenland has. We don't really have any natural resources. I mean, we have this energy and we have this hot water thingy, but that's like it's not that much that someone would want to
overtake the place.
I mean, it's so much that for the 300 people living here, like 2 in the West Fjords and 5 in the East, something like that. I mean, we have plenty for us.
The 1,000 or so in this room.
Yeah, but I mean, we don't really have anything to offer. So
we have what other countries can only dream of having. Nothing.
This has been, to an extent, like our greatest asset over the past 80 years.
Nothing.
To basically be more or less useless.
More trouble than we're worth.
Yeah. And I mean, the only reason why we didn't become either a German or an English colony at some point previously...
They just looked at a map and were like, fuck no.
It's because the Danish king had, at some points, offered both the Germans or the Prussians and the English, Iceland, in exchange for, like, I don't know...
sausages.
Or something. Yeah, sausages. Yeah. And both of them looked at the map and went like, nah. So,
there appears to be an iceberg on this map. That's the country. No.
But maybe, I mean, to be fair, we have this thing called nature, and people like travel here, and what's it? We could be, like, he is a...
We have cultural value.
And hotel guy, maybe he wants access to
the hotel business here. Yeah.
From what I'm told about some of these new hotels, like he's fucking welcome to them. Like Jesus Christ, just you can take them all.
But so at the end of the day, like, no, not at the end of the day, but to continue, like, both Kristrún Frostadóttir, our Prime Minister, and Þorgerður Katrín, our Foreign Minister, have kind of commented a little bit on this.
Yeah, but a little bit.
A little bit.
I
but
feel
it's
like they
vague.
should be commenting more on this.
Yeah, because it feels like a much more cataclysmic moment than they're kind of making it out to be, but maybe they're being savvy and just saying as little as possible.
I mean, let's get real here. Like, in terms of realpolitik, like, what would be a victory for Trump that he would be grateful for here? Wouldn't it be some sort of reinforcement of, like, far-right values to have, like, you know, anti-trans sentiment be expressed openly by someone in power? Like, he could, you know, choose to work with, you know, racist people in government here
well, if you look at the
prop them up.
If you look at the Twitter feed, I noticed that our former Prime Minister Sigmundur Davíð,
An excellent candidate to be Trump's sock puppet.
whom we've talked about as sort of Elon Musk's fanboy before, he was basically channeling, he was just quoting J.D. Vance and saying, like, you know, this is true. This is like what J.D. Vance was saying on Friday in Munich. This is an actual problem in Europe. And
He really just wants to be Trump-like, doesn't he?
He wants to be his minion here, I guess.
Yeah.
No, but it's just, you know, like I said, it's a long time coming, but still most politicians in Europe and I guess most of us in generally are kind of like reeling from just the more real thing than just an idea that this state of the world, this world order is kind of seems to be coming to an end. But I mean,
exciting times.
Exciting times. Our classic political commentator Baldur Þórhallsson.
Yep, professor of politics, political science, former candidate for
presidency.
The president.
Yeah, he said something to the effect that he thought that the agreement with the U.S. for protecting Iceland was probably still in good shape because Iceland was had become again more strategically important for the United States because of, I don't know, China or something. What he said.
Yeah.
But it goes back to the thing we were saying. Like, of what worth is that? What is it going to cost us actually?
Yeah.
If like we don't have a bargaining chip.
We have
in this new environment.
We have Jón Jónsson and his sex club, to which I'm sure Donald Trump would love to belong.
Maybe. Yeah.
Perhaps that's the bargaining chip.
You can join a sex club in Reykjavík with 30 people.
Yeah, but or we could become like...
Those 30 people are actually 30 European heads of state.
we could become
it's called
like
NATO.
Cuba of the North. We could invite China to set up base in Iceland. That could be our bargaining chip.
Didn't we kind of do that in the Cold War? We sometimes, like, you know, if there was a left-wing government, we had turned around and made a deal with the Soviet Union and got a bunch of latas and
we had some like
just to remind,
walked around with the other girl on her arm.
Yeah, just kind of reminding the United States that we could do that.
And I mean, we have this free trade agreement with China. We've been importing a lot from them.
We have a center-left government in power now.
Central government.
Central government.
Well, it's more left-leaning than America likes, I'm sure.
And like
countries have been overthrown for,
And the Chinese embassy in Iceland is huge.
It's massive. It's this giant fortress, like right square in the middle of, the most important part of the city.
Yeah, if we
and
were
it's like for under 10 diplomats or something.
Yeah, the Chinese embassy in Reykjavík is so big that if we severed our relations with China and put the building into different use, we would solve the housing crisis.
Basically, yeah. I mean, their embassy used to be, before the foreign ministry of Iceland moved, like recently, it used to be of a similar size.
Wow.
Like our entire foreign ministry fit into the building,
yeah,
the Chinese embassy. Yeah.
But and then lean towards China. I mean,
I'm not suggesting
No.
that we do, but that might be.
I, for one, welcome our Chinese overlords.
but at this point, leaning towards Europe seems also.
If
in
they
a
build
sense-
some trains here, they're welcome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but leaning towards Europe also seems useless because Europe can't even lean towards itself in terms of its own security.
Yeah, I mean, Europe's been looking useless for quite some time now.
Anyway, what a
We've got our Scando brothers, I guess. They have,
Yeah, we should
Jets.
reintroduce the Kalmar.
the Kalmar Union. Yeah, that's a good idea. I mean, I feel like almost the only two heads of states in Europe that have seen anything from that kind of sounds like we're doing something about this is actually Sweden and Denmark.
Yeah, Mette Frederiksen, she was the Prime Minister
Yeah,
of
Prime
Denmark.
Minister
She
of
was the Nordic countries' representative in this emergency meeting with Macron.
Mm-hmm.
And she's really doing stuff.
Yeah, they're spending a lot more on defense now, and I don't know what else, but at least the aura of actually trying to deal with this is something that she has.
Yeah, man. Greater Scandinavia. A maritime republic.
Yeah,
Scandinavia.
Scandinavia.
the Finnish Prime Minister said something that Europe was finally stepping back into history now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean the Finns.
An unfortunate turn of phrase.
Yeah, but the Finns never stepped out of history. They've always
No, they've
had
had
to
this
defend
been shooting Russians for sport since before it was cool.
Okay. Don't know how to follow up on that.
They're the indie band of that. Anyway, no, they because they were never part of NATO. They were always kind of wedged in between NATO and Soviet Union and Russia.
Yeah.
They invented the Molotov cocktail.
Oh, they did.
They did, yeah.
Did you know that Moscow Mule was invented in California?
Moscow,
perfect.
California.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been there.
There's a Moscow in California?
No, I mean there probably is, but yeah, I haven't been there.
There's a Paris in Texas.
Yeah.
As it should be.
As it should be. Yeah, I don't know, man. Anyway, hard week for Iceland's international status.
Yeah, but I mean there is a case to be made that our independence was a mistake. We should have just stayed as part of Denmark.
This is what it always comes back to, doesn't it?
I'm not saying it was a mistake, but I'm saying there is a case.
And there are
to
some great
be made,
arguments for
yeah.
that. So it's a thing.
Yeah.
That it may have been a mistake. But it's also our independence is basically a direct result of the
syphilis. And World War II.
No. It's direct result of the United States becoming a sort of a hegemonic power.
Yeah.
We were able to
and giving us a ton of money.
Yeah, we were occupied by them when we declared independence from Denmark, which was currently being occupied by Nazis at that point. So, our existence as a free state is as
thanks
long
to Hitler
is as long as this 80-year-old world order of the United States that the United States seem now to be backing out of.
Yeah, so it would be appropriate if we just say, "Hey guys, can we be a part of Denmark again?"
Why not?
Please, pretty please.
Or we could be a part of Greenland.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking if Greenland become independent, and I think we mentioned this the other episode, is we could start our own country, Graceland, and be equals in a, But we still wouldn't have a fucking military though, would we?
Until the previously mentioned Kalmar Union from the 14th century, Greenland was a part of the Kalmar Union.
Yeah.
So it would be Greenland, Norway, Sweden, Finland, and Denmark. And maybe us.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully.
If anyone remembers we exist.
Yeah, they sometimes do.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I wish they wouldn't.
Well, right now I'm just hoping
in hot water, being forgotten.
Right now I'm just hoping nobody in the White House remembers we exist.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to all the White House people in the White House listening to this podcast, I'm sure there's many of you. Just forget what you heard.
Yeah, never mind.
You can join the sex club if you just forget everything you've seen.
To you live from Greenland.
An underground bunker far beneath the Greenland ice.
Well, I think we're done now. We've ended on a downer.
Yeah,
We should probably,
this country is done.
We should probably hope that the next week brings us more fun news to talk about, like more sex clubs.
More sex clubs? You think there can't be 2 sex clubs in Reykjavík?
In a country that can't even have 2 brands of fucking mayonnaise.
Peter Sosa?
Yeah.
Well, in a country which does not do anything by halves, if you have a new sort of craze going on here, we all go in for it.
By next week, everyone will have joined the sex club.
Yes.
300,000.
All the matallir will become sex clubs.
Yeah, there will be
that would be awesome.
more sex clubs than food halls.
Yeah.
And whatever else we kind of get into.
Posthúsið sex club.
Posthúsið sex club. There is finally...
For all the people with postman fetishes.
Yeah, I mean, I
we're
always
across
wanted
the street from Posthúsið matal.
I'd love to get to the front of the line in this post office. What are you prepared to do?
I always wanted the hotel/restaurant called Viking Village in Hafnarfjörður to rebrand as Food Halla.
That'd be good.
So long as they don't serve surmadur, then I think it'll do fine.
Yeah.
But maybe it should be Sex Halla. I don't know.
Yeah.
Sex Halla. Sounds like a Finnish place.
Yeah, man.
But before the next time we do this podcast, I will go and check on Diego, the cat.
Yeah, let's see what Diego is doing.
And I will learn Chinese.
Yep.
And I suggest you do the same. And the next episode will be in fluent Mandarin Chinese.
I'll crawl under this table and stay there until the next week.
Sounds like a plan.
Thanks for listening. I was Jón Trausti.
You were.
I still am. I know.
Yes, I was, I am, and I will be Sindri Eldon.
Yeah. Aðalsteinn. I don't know.
See you next week.
That's good.
Bye.